What's up, guys? Welcome to another exciting edition of Real Estate Podcast, episode 360. I'm here with Griffin.
I'm here with Trav.
And I'm polishing up the grappling hooks to fucking ride a sandworm with Adam.
That's what I'm talking about. we watched Dune 2.
Whoa, whoa.
Like the little whistle.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you guys think?
So, I mean, I'm going to preface everything by saying it was an amazing movie, right? Of course.
Yeah.
But there was a couple of things that were cut out, and I understand why they were cut out, but I feel like it adds a lot to the overall story of Paul and what happens on Arrakis. The whole tug of war between Paul's mom and Zendaya, like those two characters, that whole tug of war between the Jenny Bezoit and then the Freeman, it's kind of there, but not to the extent. You know what I mean? Like, it's there, but it's not, because they were tugging a war with him like crazy. And some of the other things that we've watched and in the source material, from what I understand. So it's like, and that's a big deciding factor of him getting frustrated with both sides, because he's getting tugged in both of these different directions. And because of that, he was like, well, I just want to make my own decision and be my own person. And that's kind of like the conclusion that he comes up with. Not only that, but like him and Zendaya's character had a kid that was killed whenever the Harkonnens attacked the life water or whatever it's called, And that was one of the things that fed into him becoming, or making the decision that he made. And then the sandworm thing. I mean, they rode the sandworms. They used the sandworms as like an assault, as an assault, like a siege weapon or whatever. But, I mean, it never really showed him actually being able to like control them, did it?
I think they did it in a way that conveyed that, not necessarily that he could control them, but that I think Villeneuve chose the option of, let's have it to where the sandworms accept him. Because at the end of the day, those sandworms are so fucking huge.
Well, he could like communicate with everything after drinking the...
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, mother's milk.
Yeah.
Blue milk.
Milk of the puppy.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean that vodka?
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere.
Vodka?
I think it was on Twitter. Yeah, I read somewhere on Twitter it was a style of vodka. I was like, man, I feel like they were like, man, it ain't even that. It's just
that's what I feel like when I drink vodka straight. I'm like
you start yelling at people with 3 different voices.
But other than and I understand why those things were cut. I understand that the movie was already 2 hours and 45 minutes. If they would have put the tug of war, the kids stuff into the movie, it would have easily added another 30 minutes to the movie, which I would have been okay with.
Is it possible that it could be in the third part?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, yeah, but
because I don't think they're finished. That love triangle ain't over, I don't think.
Well,
the holy war begins.
Well, and I think that they may sprinkle that in there, but like it feels like it doesn't hold as much weight if they did that, because like him getting stuck in this weird middle ground between his mom and then the woman that he loves, and then trying to pull him to their own different causes.
Well, I think it's a rightful decision to cut some of that out. And I'm sure purists are going to be like, nah, well, flobbledy this and that. But I think what Villeneuve nailed in terms of adaptation is the underlying message with Frank Herbert, or at least from what I can remember from long ago. Idol worship is bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. Like, nothing pans out well with that in any capacity.
Right.
And because that I mean, the whole time you're seeing it, because if you think of music in terms of motif, there wasn't a triumphant bit of music at all with Paul when he was building himself up
No.
to, whenever when he finally goes south, he embraces, that vision and whatnot, and goes, from there on to lead his assault. Even then, it's almost a Darth Vader esque, and I'm going to use the Star Wars comparison. I don't care if people hate it or not, but he kind of achieves his Vader arc at that point, because what he's doing is inherently, I mean, it's going to fuck everything up.
Yeah.
Whether it's justifiably so in if you're looking at it through Paul being, through the revenge tale.
Mm.
And the thing that I noticed with Dune, because it's heavily compared with Star Wars, and Star Wars is obviously inspired by Dune. But I think what George Lucas did is he read Dune and he said, you know what, there are no good and evil in this story. I'm going to do the same thing similarly, but I'm going to put morally good and morally bad things in mine.
Yeah.
And that's what we got.
Right.
Because even though we had some, even is my mic still coming in good?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I don't mean to break
Yeah.
it. Okay. So even though he's winning in terms of his perspective, you know, there's like nothing good happened throughout this story. Not really.
No. I mean, he started a holy war. I mean,
But yeah,
he,
yeah,
he's
it's
a
the beginning.
Messiah, but
It's the beginning of a tyranny that's equally as bad as the ones before him,
Well, they
if
yeah,
really
not
lean
worse.
into that Mecca too, don't they? Like,
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's absolutely, and Frank Herbert. The thing with, I can't remember if it was if it started with Frank Herbert or if it was added by his son. And I'm not here to necessarily debate on whether his son did a good job honoring his father or not. But like the way that they built the philosophies in the Dune universe is that it's this collision of Hindu spiritualism and Islamic
mm-hmm.
spiritualism. Well, not Hindu, but Buddhism.
yeah,
So you're gonna see. So that's why there was a very heavy hand on the Islamic like aspect, that seems. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And but I mean, like Griffin said, and I'm sure you agree, Adam. I mean, the movie was wonderfully shot, dude. This movie was fun to watch,
Oh
and
yeah.
like not just on a writing level, but on a visual level.
yeah,
And tip of the hat to Villeneuve for taking the sandworm sequences and just going, you know what? Let's just set up a fast train
Yeah.
sequence that
Where
you would
everybody
do
can
for
ride.
that,
How do they get off?
and let's just
Did you
and
think
let's
about
just
that
incorporate it.
when you're
Right?
watching it? I'm
It's
like, I'd
stupid.
like to see them hop off this thing. I'd like to see how that
Mm.
works.
They just
I mean,
slide.
the last 30 minutes of this movie is just
Going
holy
ham.
shit. Yeah, man. All hell breaks loose.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting him to achieve, that level of like, oh fuck, okay.
yeah. It was very well made, very well done. And like I said, even though there's some like you know inconsistencies, or not really inconsistencies, but things that were kind of more like omitted, knowingly omitted, it still didn't like take away from my viewing experience, even though I know the story. The story's been troped so many times. You know what I mean? It's like
Mhm.
it's in the pop culture lexicon for a reason. It was fantastically done, and I'm glad that they got the sequel greenlit. And it really shows, like you can tell his love affair with the material. It really shines through.
Oh,
Because
well, sorry.
well, I was just going to say that like Dune could be easily misinterpreted by the wrong the wrong writer, the wrong filmmaker, and be something that it's not meant to be. You know, white savior, all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, it could
Mhm.
easily be mispresented. And I think he did a phenomenal job at taking that material and presenting it in a way to where the viewers draw their conclusions. And,
Well, well, he
you
was
know,
able to, he was able to like avoid those things, like Jim Carrey as the Mask, dodging bullets, like
oh
bending
yeah,
extremely, yeah, like he was like, because I get what you're saying, absolutely, but I think the writing and him and his screenwriter co-writer did a phenomenal job of, regardless of what was true or not true to the source material. I think as long as he captured a lot of the main, like, to me, the main essence of the Dune book
yeah,
and everything, I think he nailed it.
yeah. I love the way that the shots on the Harkonnen homeworld,
Mm-hmm.
like they used like a negative to get that to achieve that effect. Like they shot in negative or something like that. They shot those sequences that way so that it had that weird black and white,
Kind of metallic.
Yes, yeah.
It was very. I wouldn't be surprised if, the shot at the end when they have the Emperor's ship above the city and everything before the big battle.
Yeah.
That shot looks almost like the same tracking shot that he used in Arrival.
Yeah.
Whenever they'd be at the hilltop and you would see the craft out there in the field,
Mhm.
like he knows how his films look, and there's such an incredible consistency with that in his films.
Every
Yeah.
frame of
Like
this
you can
movie is a
almost tell.
wallpaper.
I mean,
Just pick a frame and just
um,
pause it, and it's like, that's a wallpaper. That's a wallpaper.
yeah, dude. Lisa and Agaib, dude.
Moab Dave.
Yeah, let's talk about
Oh,
that, bro.
Dude,
Well,
yeah, I was wondering when you guys were gonna bring up Christopher
how
Walken,
out of
man, because
place was he? But he still pulled it off. He's like,
oh yeah.
you didn't
so
investigate.
you came here on a sandworm. Why a worm? I'm not
If I could
fishing.
kiss the ring.
Yeah.
God. What about Austin Butler, man?
Oh,
He did a good
he
job. Doesn't
His
he look
face.
like Christian Bale?
Yeah.
yeah.
Bald?
I mean, he looked like Christian Bale from two different moments, like at the same time. Like
Yeah.
he looked like Gore the God
Yeah,
Butcher
hard to be a
before the
god.
malnourishment.
Yeah.
Like before the malnourishment.
I told Griffin
Yeah.
the other day, I was like, he could do American Psycho.
Yes.
And I think it'd be really good.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I checked out Masters of the Air.
Good
Good
show.
shit, man.
Yeah.
Haven't finished it yet, but I am enjoying it.
He's pretty good in it.
Yeah.
Low and
Low
slow.
and slow.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's almost like my one little like poke at it though is it's like how many shots can we put Austin Butler in where he has that one lone walking / River Phoenix like piece of hair hanging in front of his eye, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm going off to war. We're gonna get in some F-15s and deliver some sweet freedom.
Yeah, I think that the casting, them casting Skarsgård to be Baron Harkonnen was phenomenal
Yep.
casting. Like even Timmy boy, Timmy Sham,
Yeah.
he knocked it. Like he's gonna be the next Leo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for sure, gonna be the next Leo.
I don't. Well, I wouldn't necessarily
I think
say
he's shooting a
Leo.
Bob Dylan movie right now.
Yeah, Bob
Yeah, he's playing
Dylan.
Bob Dylan. And he kind of does look like a young Bob Dylan. It'll work.
Like, I think he'll. Well, I mean, whenever he's walking in there whenever they're all huddled in the one main room before he drinks the water of life, or after he has, he's got his little kick of badass going on now.
Mhm.
He goes striding into that room, and all I
That
can
room
think
full of
of
those
is that
people?
fucking. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's
He
like
wasn't
he's
fucking
walking on a
around. He was like,
catwalk.
"Your grandmother wore red shoes." And they were like, "Oh,
Well, the way he was,
deep."
well, he was walking in there like a model on the catwalk, dude, and I can't help but think of that silly ass video of him
Right
on
said
Twitter
Fred.
where he fucking
I'm
just
a
drops that
model.
shit like a woman, dude, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, but I couldn't help but jokingly think about this movie as being a movie about a guy who's afraid to eat pussy.
What?
Hear me out.
Would you
The
out
whole
there?
movie, he's like, I don't want to go. He's like, I don't want to go out. He's like, I don't want to go. He's like, I don't need to go south.
Oh,
If I go south, everything's wrong. And then he
And she's
goes
like,
south,
"Oh, you go
and
south."
he realizes he likes it,
a
and
little
Mhm.
too
he's like,
much.
now he's got that little edge lord going on, and he's like,
He
now I'm
likes it
going
so
for
much that
everything.
he's like,
So
"Forest
he
blood
liked
is
it.
mine."
He liked it so much he decided to initiate a holy war.
I
Bam,
mean,
Dune Part 2 in the books.
how many
Good night,
wars have
everybody.
been fought over pussy though? Let's be fair.
Every
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say all of them.
Yeah. So like, why not a holy war in the stars? But
a holy war in the stars. That's an eloquent way to put it, man.
yeah. But yeah.
But there's a but yeah, man, the like I said, the last 30 minutes is just pure sci-fi gold, man. From like the minute, well, I mean, even before that, but just those sequences where you realize that like that battle has raged on all fucking day, like into the night, where you see the ships fucking, you know, the little, the little damn um dragonfly ships are just like hauling
Yeah.
ass through the fucking city and doing their thing, and they're just lighting these people up like so many people die in such a quick amount of time.
Yeah. Well, imagine how many people the Shia Lud killed alone. You know what I mean? Like they wasn't ready for that.
Right, dude. I wish someone could. I wish someone could take a clip of fucking Shia Lud coming up out of the ground and everything, and it's like playing like one of the old Shia Lud songs,
Mm-hmm.
like where they'll, like it's the ones. Oh man, it's like
Oh,
off
dude.
of hearts within ill tempered or something like that, where they like do like the fucking drum roll hardcore song where they do the drum roll and then they just hit the hi hat and the chords ringing out and the dude's fucking talking like or da 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 da, it'd make a cool edit.
Oh, you find a
Yeah,
live
if any.
video where they're like, "We're Shia Lud," and that's like when it pops up out of the ground. That's when you stop it, and have that moment. That's what you got to find the live edit.
Mm-hmm.
If I was in this
I mean,
universe, I would invest in whatever company makes those thumpers
Yes.
because
right.
that's a cash cow right there.
Yeah. Here's
Come
my
on down to
question.
Tubbs Thumper Emporium. We got plenty of thumping and lots of bumping.
So, I mean, and this is getting a little deep and a little nerdy, of course, but I mean, we watch Dune too. So, but
Bro, I'm pushing
Arrakis.
my glasses up on my nose with my ring finger as we speak. Let's do it.
So Arrakis used to have water on it, right? Like a ton of water.
Yeah.
And the Shai Hulud evolved to be able to live in the sand, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you need the Shai Hulud to produce the spice because like that's their waste, right?
Yeah. Worm
So
shit.
Mm-hmm.
if he starts it to rain because it's like we're gonna make it a green paradise, if he does that, then he effectively kills the spice trade, right? And the ability to like hyper jump or whatever by doing so because they use it as fuel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if he institutes a holy war and actually goes through with like getting water back on that planet, he'll kill the Shai-Hulud, thus not allowing. So the holy war is going to be for naught because nobody's going to be able to go anywhere, right?
Well, they got
Well,
vehicles.
Yeah, but not like
well,
like star travel.
what it's gonna do is it's gonna create a scarcity, obviously, and thus it's gonna make it to where all of the it's gonna dismantle everything because
Yeah,
it would disrupt the infrastructure needed to be able to have the entire, you know, what's it called? What's it called in the Dune universe? It's the not colonized worlds or whatever, but it's the worlds that are all synced up.
Oh, that like the coalition.
I use air quotes for that.
yeah,
Yeah, like they're all under they're all within the
Yeah.
Imperium.
yeah.
And
The
whoever
house.
It's gonna
controls the
fuck that
spies,
up.
oh, well, they're going to come try to fight them. I mean, that's
Yeah,
maybe
well,
why he's seeing
that's why
everybody blown up, because it's like, dude, if you try to stop the spice production, they're going to come fuck you
well,
up.
and well, once again, it also underlines the idea that Paul is not a good guy in this
Yeah,
at all. Like it's not like Dune is not a typical sci-fi fantasy where like, and that's one of the things where you think about with Star Wars and why I was saying made the comment of the good and evil added to Star Wars, because Paul is like he's in the moment you're rooting for him in the context of the book because he's the avenging son of, you know, a house that's been done dirty,
hmm,
and so you want to root for him and everything. But in the overall grand scheme of things, you know, it almost, you know, look at it in the same way as that the Empire's not really evil.
yeah,
Um, but that's a key reason too why at the end Josh Brolin's character is like, hey man, they just radioed back and they said, fuck what you said. We're like,
Yeah, they're
we're
not
not
down with it.
accepting those terms. Yeah. Like, fucking, we're shutting it down ourselves just for the sake of being able to still, you know.
yeah. I was thinking about that though, because like, you know, part of the prophecy was that the chosen one or whatever, Paul was going to bring the water back to Arrakis, and it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
but if the water comes back to Iraq, first of all, that's like bombing your own oil field at that point. You know what I mean? Like you're sitting on a gold mine, and whoever controls the spice controls the universe more or less, right? So it's like, how is this going to, and then how are the Freemen going to respond to this? Because like they're in a position now to where they can be propped up for the rest of their lives if Paul follows through on his word and things don't get out of hand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, it, but but since we see the Freeman loading up in the ships, we're gonna we're gonna just talk about this in terms of Villeneuve's version of Dune. You know, like we
yeah,
can
yeah,
go
yeah.
talk about, yeah, like regardless. The only comment I'll make about Dune Messiah is that like there's this long-standing like joke, whatever you want to call it. Frank Herbert wrote Dune. So many people didn't get the overlying message that he had to write a sequel to fucking show you that, hey, Paul's not the good guy,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
But anyway, there's no good, like, and that's also, I've seen clips comparing it as well, but it's also why at the time it's why J.R.R. Tolkien uh didn't like Dune.
Yeah.
He was like, I've read it, and he didn't jive with the tone of it or whatever. But you got to think too, though. Tolkien was a World War II vet.
Yeah.
There's clearly defined good and clearly defined evil, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I've lost my train of thought, and I'm sorry. But um, what was the original premise we're talking about? Because I'm trying to remember a lot of the shit
If
that I
he
was going
makes
to
it
say
rain,
about it.
Yeah. They were loading the
Oh,
Freeman and Josh and Gurney
oh, yeah,
were loading up.
yeah. So they're loading them up. Yeah, I think they're obviously gonna go to Getty Prime, and it's going to also create a diaspora. I think I'm saying it right, or diaspora is the concept that like it's what Judaism used a lot of other religious views too. It's where a people of faith or culture is spread out somewhere else, and there's still community, like a community. I'm sure I'm butchering the actual, correct, usage of it, but it's going to be, we basically have space immigrants.
Yeah. Well, it's all right. So the definition is the dispersion or spread of people from their original homeland. So basically, immigration, but with
Yeah,
keeping their
because but it's a desired one though, and that's what's
yes.
going to make it so weird because these motherfuckers want off Arrakis.
Mm-hmm. Don't blame them.
Because I mean, it's because, well, for all intents and purposes, it's an uninhabitable world. You've got, I mean, the only motherfucker that have a good time there is Beetlejuice. I mean,
Yeah,
SNL
but
will have
yeah,
fun with the new movie then, because they'll have
I
like
know,
Trump in
right?
there, like get him out of here,
Yeah,
back to
Paul Atreides.
Arrakis.
Who's Paul? It's the sandworm
Yeah,
Trump. Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God, who's Paul? Get
but
Paul out of here.
but I mean the movie at the end of the day to me is a work of art,
Yes.
pure and simple sci-fi art, man. Um, I don't know what it is, but the way that they shot, the way they did the shot of them just like getting on with the sandworms, like that was like I was invested clearly for quite a while by the time we get to this moment. But when it does happen though, that's when that's my sold American moment. I'm like, this is fucking,
Yeah.
I'm giving it the chef's kiss, you know?
Yeah.
And the whole Zendaya
'Cause
thing,
even
she's like,
though
"I love you," but then she's like, "I don't. If you do this, I'm not gonna love you." And he's like, "Well, I mean, I gotta
she
do it."
always doesn't she always play roles where she gets to be pissed off at the people she loves? Like, isn't there a weird pattern there?
Your pissed off face.
Yeah.
Like, would that be a form of typecasting?
I mean,
The mad
yeah,
love interest?
to a degree, yeah, I think so. But
Well, she said she didn't want to have nothing to do with him, and he's like, "I'll take her hand and we'll rule together." He looks back at her. She's
yeah,
all
and then she gets
pissed.
pissed off. Well, it's like, and that goes back. She's basically that was her saying that like if you follow through with what your mom and the Bene Gesserit and everybody else wants you to do, where you become the emperor, where you take over Arrakis, because she wanted Arrakis turned over to the Freeman. They wanted Arrakis controlled by Paul to disrupt everything, and that was that tug of war struggle thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was her whole thing. It's like, well, if you know, dethrone the emperor and you take control of Arrakis, then I can't be with you because the planet belongs to the Freeman and all this like
Yeah.
drama.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
it's drama.
I feel like the average moviegoer is going to view the Bene Gesserit as like the shadow government.
Yeah. Well,
Like they're really pulling the strings to kind of, at least the way they're presented in the movie.
Well, one of the things that made me think of, like with the, like you said, it kind of like a little bit of Islam.
yeah.
The spice could be viewed as, I don't know, oil.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Oh, for sure, man.
Like,
Arrakis to me is one big metaphor for like the
yeah,
Arabian desert.
we're coming to
yeah,
take your
I mean,
shit.
100%.
yeah. Dude, I literally laughed out loud. This was the only part of the movie that I laughed out loud. But was whenever they were on the Harkonnen homeworld and Austin Butler had that fight, you know, and one of the guys wasn't like sedated or whatever, drugged out. And then one of the Benny Jesuits met him in that hallway and she's like, put your hand in this box. And I just started fucking laughing. I'm like,
What's
I'm like, all the fucking double entendres here. Put your hand in this box. Fear is the mind
well, what's
killer.
weird
Stick your
is
hand
that
in here.
what's bizarre is that we never saw an outcome for that. Not that it really mattered, but it's just
No.
funny that yeah, like it was so jarring. It was like, oh, so you're so and so, yeah. Put your hand in the box. Like I
Yeah.
kind of chuckled at that too.
Stick your hand in this box, please. But yeah, I'm giving it a full star. Like I said, I mean, even though that there were some things that were like omitted, this, that, and the other, it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the flick, and it was very well shot, very well written, very well acted. I mean, it was it's set up to be, the sci-fi trilogy of the 2020s. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We had the Matrix, we
For
had
sure.
Star Wars. We've had different sci-fi trilogies through the year, and Dune is definitely positioned to be the next big sci-fi trilogy.
Yeah. And I had a buddy at work who's big into books and everything. He's kind of into some similar stuff that we're into, and he was big into Dune. He was actually, because of all the movies and stuff, clearly he's been audio booking the whole saga.
Yeah,
And when he finally told me he got around to watching part two, I was like, "So how do you feel about it, man?" And he was like, he was more or less on board, kind of with how our conversation panned out. But he was like, in terms of adaptation, he's like, it's to be desired, but as an actual movie, just a movie, he's like, it's fantastic.
yeah,
And I think that's a to me that's a diamond in the rough when you
for
can
sure.
kind of sculpt the story to be your own in a way, being your own iteration of it,
Yeah,
and being good enough that even maybe the book people are like, you know what, yeah, that's not quite how it goes, but
Sometimes not reading the book has its advantages.
yeah,
I don't have any problem with it. Full star, because
full
I don't
star
know
for
about
me as well.
anything else. So I know it was better than the other movie,
oh yeah, for
and
I
sure.
better than the
think.
first one. Not the first one in this trilogy.
Yeah,
Well, here's my
Like
well,
it stopped right before
it's
it got good. It was like, oh, but then they did the same thing here. It was like, oh, come on, man.
well, everything. The thing that made this duology a success, in my
Doonology,
opinion.
if you will.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. What made it such a success, in my opinion, is it, it's one of those two types of movies where they're like, man, like everything in this movie has a payoff that's established in the first movie,
yeah,
and whatever whatever things that don't have a payoff didn't really matter.
yeah,
Every question that I'd had leaving part one got answered in part two.
yeah,
And a lot of people, a lot of writers take stuff like that for granted and just don't give a shit.
yeah,
Or they see that task through and it's just more of a pop fizz instead of like a bang like this one was. And it's one of those things where it's like, if I was to recommend Dune to people now, I'd be like, man, just hang through that first movie.
well, the first one,
Like,
I
just,
mean,
just
the
I
thing
mean, it
is
had
like,
the first one had good stuff going on, but because Villeneuve chose to give us a previous 2.5 hours of character development, we didn't have to waste time on that shit in this movie.
yeah,
Once everybody gets established and you get a lot of that stuff, and even though Zendaya's role in part one is so much more significant than or insignificant than part two, um, her character even gets a payoff to the degree.
yeah, great stuff. I can't wait until the third one comes out. It's gonna be great.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Well,
Let let
Villeneuve is
Vel-
like
let
he's gonna take.
Villeneuve fucking let him have all the
They said
cutlery
they
he
started
needs to
writing a
cook
script.
right.
Well, he needs a break. He's been living in the desert for the past 4 years, so 4 or 5 years. So let him take some downtime. Oh, oh, Tim Sham. He's not gonna look any older.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
that guy's. Well, I don't know whether I need to go there on this podcast or not. If we're gonna go by Twitter talking and everything, he's already achieved real life Vaderness, so he's gonna look young for quite a while, if you know what I mean.
So he got his arm and legs chopped off and fell into a lava
Well,
pit. They hooked
no,
him
Griffin,
into
I'm saying he injects like blood to fucking stay young. He's
Oh,
a
He's just
blood
shit.
countess.
28.
I mean,
Yeah.
hey man, the wall comes for us sooner than women, dude.
You want to see some funny shit? Go look his rap career up.
Yeah, right.
No, but like all joking aside, I think it's really cool though that when the guy was like a kid, I was watching some shit where they were interviewing all the different cast members of Dune, and there was one where he was like, you know, one of the advice that he was given by Leonardo DiCaprio was don't do
Never do.
superhero
Yeah,
movies.
I saw that.
And he was, and yeah, and so you probably remember too, where he was like, uh, but I don't know if I'm gonna ever write that off though, because he was like the guy that inspired me to start acting was Heath Ledger and his role in The Dark Knight, and I felt old as fuck when he said that. I was
Yeah.
like, damn, like there's kids that are inspired by movies, you know, like it was a, you know, you have those brief moments of surreality, you know,
Yeah.
if that's even a fucking word, but whatever.
Fallout.
Surreal. Okay. So before we get into this, I've only watched the first 3 episodes. I haven't finished it.
All right. um,
but it's not because I don't like it. I just haven't had the time to be able to crunch it all.
yeah.
But what I've watched, Chef's Kiss, man.
It's definitely a
I
show.
well, let me tell you how far I got. I've got to where they where we've got where they've already brought Walton Goggins back to life, which was fucking hilarious. Yeah, so I mean, I'm out. It might be only the second episode. I can't remember, man. But I've seen up to that point.
Okay. I will say it starts strong and it ends strong. There's not really a down episode. Like they get a lot of the backstory stuff out for the girl in that first episode,
Yeah,
and then they sprinkle in some backstory stuff for Walton Goggins' character here and there.
yeah,
And then Maximus, you don't really see much of his backstory at all. Like you get a couple little things, but they laid the groundwork for everything moving forward in that first episode, and it just hits the ground running up
Mm-hmm.
until the
dude.
end.
Him when he gets that power armor and he breaks up those people up from fighting, that dude grabs that briefcase. He just like silly walks off. And dude's like, he's like, why'd you do that? He's like, I was just trying to break up a fight. He's like, that guy keeps fucking my chickens, man. And he looks at him,
Oh
and that dude's
yeah,
just,
Hmm.
he's just silly walking down the beach, dude. I very seldom like stuff is hilarious, but there's very few things that will make me laugh out loud when I watch it. That shit made me just just was so left field, dude. I loved it, man. I really dug how, I mean, and of course, we knew that they were going to try to stay pretty faithful to Fallout in general, but I really loved how the first episode was 100% the way a Fallout game starts.
yeah, in the
Down
vault.
in the vault, got
Yeah,
to talk to the overseer, some fucking shenanigans go down. Now you
yeah.
gotta leave.
One of my favorite
I don't
lines
know.
that Walton Goggins says is he's like something about playing a game and getting fucking sidetracked on every little side quest, you know?
Yeah,
Like he mentions that at one point, and he's like, "Come on, we got a
yeah,
fucking side quest."
yeah,
Like that's funny because that's what happens. You got a main mission, and it's like, "Fuck, now we gotta go over here and do this." Like,
It's like it's self aware, you know? Or
yeah,
like the writing is self aware.
yeah. They
Uh,
greenlit season 2, and yeah, I'm
uh,
excited.
I've I've enjoyed the callbacks to all the Fallout music though.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
I mean everything from the ink spots, all that stuff, dude. Like Um, I mean, I know I only have limited stuff to talk about. I know you guys have grounded out, man. Um, but it seems like there's a lot of good
They did
Easter
it
eggs that's
justice.
going to be found.
Yeah.
One thing that I did see, I think we covered it in an article in one episode. They were talking to Nolan, and he said that in a way you could perceive it as Fallout 5 or maybe Fallout 4.5 or something.
Right.
And I like that they just kind of told their
You're
own
talking about
story.
Christopher Nolan's brother?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody pointed it out. They was like, isn't it funny that Christopher Nolan made the movie about the first nuke and his brother did Fallout
Yeah.
about the world being nuked? I was like, that is fucking funny.
Yeah.
It is like
What a
what's
coincidence.
crazy is I think they had to sit there and like both of the brothers had to be sitting over coffee one day and have a chuckle about that, man. Because like they would both projects would have technically been in the same production.
Yeah. No, they do a good job at like doing a lot of good throwbacks to the
Well, I've
source
heard that.
material.
Well, I've heard New Vegas gets a lot of love.
Well, the reason why that everybody talks about New Vegas the way that they do is because since New Vegas was developed by Obsidian, there's this huge split within the player base of whether it's part of the canon world or not. And
Yeah.
that's why a lot of the conversations are like happening around New Vegas specifically because I mean it touches pretty much every game in some capacity, whether it be
Oh, for
big or
sure.
small. Um, but yeah, that's why a lot of people are talking about New Vegas stuff is because the purists don't consider it part. And then you've got the ultra purists that only consider Fallout 1, 2 and Tactics as the only Fallout games that exist. And then you have a
Right. They don't.
generation.
They don't believe that the gameplay like jump like makes it a game, makes it that like.
Yeah.
Do you think? And I've always heard it too. Do you think a lot of those people probably view the Wasteland series as the spiritual sequels to Fallout? I mean,
Yeah,
or
but
is it, or am I leaning too hard into just thinking that maybe the developers are have that kind of following behind them?
well, it's both. I think that the Wasteland people feel that way because the development team went on to work or some of the development team went on to work on that game. And like it's this weird break and you don't really see it in any other in games to that extent where you have like a subset of people only believe the first two and a half games whatever you want to call tactics as part of it, then you have people that omit the first two and a half games and only count 3 New Vegas and 4, then you have people that only view 1 2 um 3 and 4 as the purest games. Like then you have people that only believe that 1, 2, and New Vegas are the community is freaking split on this to the
Well, did you
point
see
where
what one of the
But
creators said? It's all
yeah, oh
canon.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's like, shut the fuck
yeah,
up.
but at the same time though, because like that's crazy.
Yeah.
I wish I could hit the Donald Trump meme where it's like, "This is all news to me.
He's like, you're telling me for the
It's the
first
first time I'm
time.
hearing about it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, because to me, I've always been of the understanding that because I'm a Fallout 3 guy, like that's the entry to the series that I enjoy the most.
Yeah.
Um, but it's always been regarded that New Vegas of the first person shooter Fallouts, I've always seen on the internet and just from all the friends we know that New Vegas is the superior game.
Yeah. But it's wild to me. And I think that what would help bridge the gap is if they would remaster 1 and 2 and Tactics and then also create a first person version of those games so that you
Have you
appease.
seen those mods?
Oh yeah, yeah, But those, I mean,
It
it's
looks
only
like
a handful.
it almost looks like Doom.
Yeah, but you've only got a handful of people working on those, and they've been working on them for like since Fallout 4 came out. So it's like,
Remasters and re-releases of those games, I think, would do very well right now
yeah. So
because they're great little tactic games, man. Like
I'd like to.
I've tinkered with. What's that, Adam?
No, go ahead, finish. Tinkered with
Oh, I
what?
was just saying they're great. I was just saying they're great little tactic games, man. And the they're the first couple of games are kind of the isometric, almost like think XCOM, where you have a selective units on the field, you move them to areas. Each unit's got its own quote unquote job. Like you have someone that's a rifleman, one dude that's a melee guy, one dude that's a medic. That you can play it out like that and everything.
Well, the sales are up big time, and there's people playing the games that have never played because
yeah,
of the show. They're
yeah,
already talking about the fifth one.
yeah.
They'll definitely be
It's
making
yeah.
one.
It's happening so much to the point that people on Twitter are bitching at people going and playing and the games for the first time, and it's like, this is like they're like, this
Yeah.
is why we can't have nice things, and it's like, what, a good TV, a good representation of that world was released in live action, and people are getting
You want to
interested in that
gatekeep?
world. Yeah, you want
Fuck
to
off.
gatekeep because that's how
Yeah.
they got into
You
it.
don't
That's
own
stupid as
it.
shit. Yeah. I mean, if they would have developed Elder Scrolls instead of Game of Thrones, it would have been the same way, though. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Which
you'd still
speaking
have
which
people
speaking
gate.
of Elder Scrolls, which speaking of Elder Scrolls, I've seen the clip of Todd Howard being interviewed, I guess on the premiere Fallout,
Hmm.
and they were asking him about, I guess it had been just a general question of, hey, are you interested in having more Bethesda games adapted into shows and whatnot? And he was very quick to go, no, like people
Yeah,
have been throwing me offers to adapt Elder Scrolls for years. I turn them down. I don't want it. I like that. He's like, the only reason Fallout worked is it was just the right moment, the right time, the right team, and the right story was there.
yeah,
He's like, but outside of that, I'm not interested in just suddenly turning all of the Bethesda games, or at least any of the games he's involved in,
yeah.
into into cash cows basically.
Well,
Because I mean, Fallout's set for life with the success of the show.
yeah. But you also have to think like Fallout is an easier entry point for a new
Oh,
viewing
absolutely.
experience. Like we
Oh
were
yeah, because
talking,
Elder Scrolls is it's very much high fantasy, and
yeah, but you have
you
so
know,
much source material and it all weaves in
yeah,
and out of each other that if you like, how do you adapt
it's
something that large?
yeah,
Well,
it's
it's kind of
too
like
yeah,
the with D and
it's
D.
such
That
a
was kind of risky.
Yes,
You
yeah.
yeah,
know,
yeah,
Like you would have to be able to be very good at slow dripping lore in a way that would not
they're still
feel
gonna bitch.
too like too
You know what
much
I mean?
exposition.
Even
Yeah.
if they
Oh,
put a
for
show out
sure.
and it was good and we liked it, there'd still be a large group that's like, no, they ruined
yeah,
it. I'll never
for
play the
sure.
I
game
think
again.
I think like with Fallout, you have that underlying mystery that you as the player are always like that you're always considering from time to time, and it's how did the bombs drop? Who pulled the trigger? Like there's that lore question that's never been answered really,
Yeah.
and I don't know if this show does it or not, so I don't know if you guys are
No
having to hold your
comment.
tongues on it or not.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, well, that tells me fucking everything. Um, but in Elder Scrolls, it's not so much so. You're
Yeah.
dealing with different deities, the whims of gods and mortal creatures, and all that. Like it's just such a vast world that while it would be fun to have a fucking 90-minute Easter egg hunt,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like to me, Elder Scrolls is always going to be a property that's better just played
Yeah.
than or hell, if you really want to find some sort of interest in it, I think there's a couple of novels, maybe more now, I don't know, But there's a way that you can get that type of like that story and lore's itch without necessarily picking up a controller or mouse and key.
Yeah.
I'd like
One
to
thing
point
that
out that go ahead.
No, go ahead.
They shot. You guys like the way that it looks?
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Fallout was shot on 35mm Kodak stock.
Wow.
That's what gives it that.
Yeah.
It's real
It
film.
kind of
Yeah.
it kind
But
of pops.
It has like a. It's very hard to process it because it's got this like shit on it, but it gives it
Yeah.
that color. You know, it's got that real bright
tint.
50s. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
The blue looks really blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're able to really cash in on
It looks
that
great.
aesthetic, dude. Yeah.
When I was watching it, I was like, "Ain't no way this was digital."
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
And I go
in
look
the
it up, and it's like,
pilot,
"Oh fuck."
in that pilot episode when you're first introduced to Walton Goggins and the bombs, I mean, basically, and the girl's like,
Holding her
the
thumb up.
fucking Fallout boy thumbs up,
Yeah.
Um, that whole sequence was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but there's something mesmerizing about an atomic blast that doesn't matter how many times you see it over how many movies and everything, like you're still just kind of like, God, that's it's really
Destroyer of Worlds.
yeah, man.
Yep. No, the only other thing that I would want to add to it was I know they got greenlit for a season 2. Happy about that. What I would love to watch also is just a series about all of the other vaults. You know what I mean? That's one. Each episode is just a different vault and the fucked up stuff that happens inside of that vault. I would totally watch that.
Right.
Got plenty of material to do. I mean,
Well, and there's a
never
ton of
ending,
them
really.
there's a
I
ton
always
of them
thought
that
it
have never been
was.
explored or nothing. So like, do it.
Well, I always thought it was eerie and sequences in the games where, um, like you'd roll up in a building and you'd find one of those Vault Tech computers where you'd have to be solving a puzzle for that room or something. And as you're reading logs and stuff, that's kind of how they dish out the lore to you in the games and shit. Reading about how some of the vaults were all fucked up, and some people just descended into madness, and the typical stuff that you would expect.
Yeah.
It always was kind of eerie because you're just reading it on this really shitty computer prompt in a dilapidated
stuff.
building in the future. Yeah,
Yeah.
cousin stuff.
You remember that when she's like,
We can't be. It was great when we were kids, but we can't live like that. That's not sustainable. But yeah, whenever you nail that one down, Trav, let us know and we'll do a little bit more of a deeper dive into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I got a little bit of movie news here. So Jordan Peele will not be directing Death Stranding, but it will quote be unlike any video game adaptation ever made. So Alex Libovici's Hammerstone Studio certainly has a lot on its plate. One of the companies behind Barbarian, Hammerstone, is releasing the dystopian action comedy Boy Kills World into theaters on April 26th, and from there it's a very busy couple of years. They're producing Mel Gibson's first directorial feature in 8 years, Flight Risk, starring Mark Wahlberg. They're working with Sam Raimi again after Boy Kills World on a horror thriller called Don't Move. They produced the still unreleased Kung Fury sequel with David Sandberg, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Michael Fassbender, and they're teaming with
Holy
A24.
shit.
Yeah, and they're teaming with A24 to produce Death Stranding. The adaptation of what's been called one of the best video games of the 21st century is coming with creator Hideo Kojima's approval, and Kojima Productions is working on it with Hammerstone and A24. Peele has been
Look,
one of the direct.
I'm sorry.
Peele has been one of the directors whose name's been floated for the adaptation, but according to Lebovici, that's not the case at all. While Peele will be collaborating with Kojima on a horror game called OD. He is not directing the Death Stranding film. Jordan Peele was never directing, explained Lubovici in an interview with MovieWeb. I think that's like an internet rumor. There's a relationship that Hideo has with Jordan. There are developments coming soon that I can't share yet. Right now, it's in the crafting of the story. That's kind of where we are in this development process. So no Peele. He'll. What is it? Monkey Paw?
His
Is that
company.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll probably be producing it along with A24. And
So I'm a Kojima fan. Don't get me wrong, but dude, Death Stranding never beat it. But what I played of Death Stranding, that's a lot of walking and a lot of ladders.
yeah,
Like that's it.
Well, the movie will
yeah,
probably have more than that.
Well, no, like
right.
don't get me wrong, the universe that Kojima built and the world and everything is really cool. One of the coolest aspects about that game is that as you're going throughout the world and taking packages further and further because you're a carrier in the game, is as you're going, like you're establishing more on like online interactive plays with like people. Like if you're playing it online or have the online feature switched on, you are technically opening up all your areas to be able to interact with people.
Hmm.
So whenever you hear, like, if you've ever seen old articles about Kojima being interviewed about the game, he's like, the game's about bringing people together. Like it's quite literally in the sense of the word. Um, but yeah, regardless of who's making that, that's going to be a far better story to watch and just get invested in than probably to play.
Yeah, for sure. So if they're in the writing stages now, it's probably going to take like 5 years to release. Which I mean, I think Kojima's working on a sequel to Death Stranding, so they might try to time it to where maybe the sequel drops whenever if they're going to use the same engine and everything with Reedus, which Norman Reedus may star in Death Stranding. I mean,
Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus.
yeah. So
Um, but honestly, that's not really what I'm interested in this article. I'm interested in that packed out Kung Fury movie, man.
yeah, right.
Like that movie was, I thought it was just a shits and giggles type of thing.
Well,
And
next Expendables.
I mean, but I mean, dude, at least it's gonna be funnier.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be more self-aware because that first Kung Fury is hilarious in its
Yeah.
own kind of way. But yeah,
So next up here, original Old Boy director Park Chan Wook to create an English adaptation series of the hit action thriller. So Park Chan Wook, the critically acclaimed South Korean director, is set to adapt his 2003 cinematic hit Old Boy into an English language series collaborating with Lionsgate Television. Per deadline, this will be the first time that Park will transition a work that cemented his status in international cinema into a television format. Park has expressed his enthusiasm about the new project, saying, Lionsgate Television shares my creative vision for bringing Old Boy into the world of television. I look forward to working with a studio whose brand stands for bold, original, and risk-taking storytelling. Scott Herbst, EVP and head of scripted development at Lionsgate Television, mirrors the director's sentiment, saying, Park is one of the most visionary storytellers of our generation, and we're excited to partner with him in bringing his cinematic masterpiece to the television screen. Um, it says here Park Chan Wook expands Vengeance trilogy with Old Boy adaptation. So the original Old Boy film, which is a gripping adaptation of the Japanese manga by I can't. I'm not even going. Tells the story of Oh Dae Soo, betrayed by Choi Min Sik. Min Sik. Oh Dae Soo is abruptly abducted and held captive for 15 years without explanation. Upon his equally mysterious release, he has 5 days to unravel the identity of his captor and the reasons behind his long imprisonment. The narrative forms the dark heart of what is known as Park's Vengeance trilogy, which also includes Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. Apart from Old Boy, Park Chan Wook has garnered international acclaim with films like The Handmaiden and Decision to Leave, the latter earning him a Best Director award at Cannes. His recent venture includes producing and directing The Sympathizer, starring Robert Downey Jr., which is currently airing on HBO. Additionally, Park is involved in the upcoming Netflix period action thriller Uprising, set to premiere later this year.
When I
Well,
first
never
Here's
mind
heard
the
they were
fact
doing
that
this, I was like, why? But now that he's doing it,
yeah,
because Spike Lee did the movie.
yeah.
Oh,
I went to the theaters and watched, and that came out in
well, never
2013.
never mind the fact that Old Boys or the original version, it set a standard that's been ripped off by so many action directors, man.
Yeah,
The hallway scene. Like that's
yeah,
a thing now.
yeah,
Like a long tracking shot of a hallway where the main character fights a formidable amount of enemies and lives through it.
yeah.
Like Old Boy made that fucking cool.
Yeah. And here's the thing,
Um
it's like it was an adaptation of a manga. Did
yeah,
he
I never heard of the manga.
Yeah, so I wonder if like a lot of stuff had to be cut to bring it down to theatrical release. You know what I mean?
Well, I've always
Um
wondered if like he was like, is there more than just him that was like, is that like a whole thing? Like, is there other people that's being captive? Like, is that you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, are there stories worth telling in that spot? Like, and if that's how it is in the TV show, where you're still dealing with the main character and his shit, and maybe we see some other people that are, been in that same situation, or he discovers maybe, and maybe it's stuff that's, maybe it's just clearly, it's just going to be the story or just a more faithful adaptation of the manga than the movie.
Yeah, because looking it up on Wikipedia, it received 8 volumes from 1997 to 1998. Um and I don't a volume is what 50 or 70 pages of a manga. So you
Uh, it just depends.
yeah. So you have to imagine that like there's a lot going on that was not adapted.
Oh, for sure.
So
And maybe he can add some more nuance that can make things even more fucked up, you know? Because
right.
that's the thing, like, Old Boy is a very, like, for a story to have so many adaptations, it's a very fucked up story to have that many
I know.
adaptations.
I know, right?
Like, yeah, because, like, the whole thing builds up to the incest twist, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I
Like, the
wouldn't
only thing I could see them doing is just making that even more, like, disturbing.
I wouldn't mind throwing that on the pilot sometime. I think the last time I watched the original version of Old Boy was at your house, Trav, like 10 or
Yeah,
15,
that's the
10 or 15 years ago.
I never bought the American version of it. It's still it's still the same shelf. It's on my foreign shelf. But yeah, it's the same old copy of Old Boy. That's the same one I still got.
The dub. So next up, I'm gonna hit 2 articles real quick back to back. So Rebel Moon Part 2 debuts with worst Rotten Tomatoes score of Zack Snyder's career.
God
So
damn, boy can't
Rebel
catch a break.
I know. So Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, has done as Zack Snyder promised and delivered something more than its predecessor. It has overtaken Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, as Snyder's worst reviewed movie ever. Having made a reputation as a director who loves to create visually stunning landscapes and often overuses some cinematic tricks, Snyder has seemingly surpassed all of his previous endeavors to hit single figures on Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter. The film is a continuation of his Rebel Moon saga, which began life as a rejected idea for a Star Wars movie many years ago. Rather than shelve the idea, Snyder sat on it until it was offered until he was offered the chance to make it a reality in its own right by Netflix. When the first part was released, it was instantly slated by critics and other hollow set piece laden behemoth from the director who previously divided DC fans with the Snyderverse. Now, Rebel Moon Part 2 has reached a low that even the harshest of Snyder's critics would not have anticipated. At the time of writing the film has plummeted to a dismal 8% approval rate from its first 12 reviews and is dropping with every edition. The movie's only positive review of this first batch is not entirely a reason to celebrate either, with Travis Hobson of Punch Drunk Critics noting that the follow up is, quote, an improvement over part one, but that, quote, the bar was set very low. MovieWeb's own review agreed that the film was definitely an improvement and praised actor. I can never pronounce this guy's name, but calls the film predictable and derivative. All in all, it is only by the skin of its teeth that Snyder isn't looking at a 0% kickoff for the release. And then there's a bunch of things here, but Rebel Moon to stretch across 6 films as Zack Snyder redefines the trilogy format. So Snyder, along with co-writer Kurt Johnstad, plans to broaden the scope of the Rebel Moon franchise to encompass a total of 6 films. This split trilogy format deviates from traditional trilogy structures, where each installment will consist of 2 parts. Um, in an interview with Screen Rant, Johnstad discussed the creative process behind the franchise's expansion. The team has meticulously planned out the story to extend well beyond the initial trilogy, with treatments ready for the fourth and fifth films and preliminary scripting already underway for the third. So basically, we have everything mapped out for many, many movies beyond three, beyond four. I will go on the record now. We figured this all out all the way to movie 6. Now, if we are so lucky and fortunate enough to continue telling these stories, that is our hope. Netflix is interested, and we're waiting to see how these first movies go, but there is certainly a treatment for 3 and 4. We've laid out very detailed. All we have to do is start writing. Actually, Zach has already started writing because he's like that. I think he's already written the first 30 pages of movie 3, so once we get the green light to start writing, if that happens, it'll happen fairly quickly because Zach, and I are pretty fast and we've done all the work. It's not like, well, what about this? We know exactly what we need to do. According to Johnstad, the expansive storyline was partly necessitated by the sheer volume of the original script. First film alone initially spanned over 200 pages, prompting a substantial reduction to streamline the narrative without sacrificing the richness of the character development. The decision to split the movies into 2 parts each came from a need to do justice to the story and characters without overwhelming the audience and diluting the narrative's impact. This was always going to be a trilogy, and this is well known. We've talked about this in the press already. When we delivered the first movie, it was 200 plus pages. So we were like, oh my God. Then we tried cutting it back to 135, I think, and we started cutting all of the cool character stuff. And Zach's like, we need to go back. How do we do this? And then again, this has been written about before, but then collectively we said right around here in the 90th page, if we wrote a cliffhanger, which in movie 1 is the Gondoval scene, if we wrote that, then we could break this into 2 parts. The strategic restructure into a split trilogy is a logistical choice. It allows for more thorough exploration of the universe Snyder and his team have envisioned, providing a more immersive experience for the viewers. The adaptation process has been smooth, with the writing team, including Snyder, Johnstad, and Shay Hatton, moving quickly due to their extensive pre planning and clear vision for the franchise's direction. So when I say 6 movies, it's really a trilogy, with each movie being 2 parts. That's how we're thinking of it now. But again, a lot of things have to happen. Our ambition and what we want to give the fans don't always match up with the reality of the world's economy. But that's what we want to do. We want to give fans 6 movies or a trilogy in 2 parts each.
I gotta
That
add
was a whole
something.
lot of nothing, dude.
The critic score is now up to 15.
Oh, that's not bad.
with
I
85
think,
reviews, and the audience score with over 1,000 reviews is 53. So,
I mean, I mean, to me, it just seems like it's still on
well, they
brand for
wrote that article the
Snyder.
day it came out. It was
Yeah.
like,
You know?
what, 18
I-
reviews?
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
The
And
critics always hate it.
I think it's a case where it's like it. I don't know. I'm as like you either like Zack Snyder's movies or you don't.
Yeah.
Then they're also going to get the rated R releases.
Well, and that's where my question was going to go. So if you're going to do basically 4 to 5 hour films, so it's, if they split it in half, we're looking at 2 to 2.5 hours per movie, and it's going to be a set of 2 movies that equate to one total movie. If they do that, are they going to allow him to do the R-rated cut of it as well? And if so, that's not only him making 6
No,
movies.
to me that's including the art. Like, see, that's why I was like, fuck this article because they completely confused so many people with the way they're explaining these films. So where I'm at is that there's either okay, you have like what we're getting right now, Rebel Moon Part 1 and Part 2.
Is one movie.
We're gonna get yeah. Well, that this is one way of thinking it. Part 1 and Part 2, then Part 2 and Part 3, and then Part
Yeah.
3 and Part 4 is the trilogy. Or are they meaning Rebel Moon Part 1 PG-13, Rebel Moon Part 1
I don't think it's that.
rated R?
No.
Nah.
No,
Well,
they're
here's
talking
my
about.
thing. The quote unquote director cuts of these movies is supposed to be adding so much of the air quote richness that they're talking about that it's making like it's steering the conversation, I think, to the level where it's like, okay, PG-13, those are the kid movie versions.
Hmm.
The hard R director cuts, that's the Rebel Moon that Zach's wanting you to see.
Yeah. Well, here's what I
And
think.
that's the what and that's the and the PG-13 movies are strictly there so Netflix gets their nut from it.
Well, and I think that that's what's going to end up happening. I think that Netflix, because just based off of the first Rebel Moon alone, they might get films 3 and 4. They might get the basically the second film in the trilogy. But I think what Netflix is going to do is wait to see what the reception
Mm-hmm.
and also the viewership of the R rated. Because
Yeah.
the way I look at it is, if you're going to drop a PG-13 version of 2 movies and then an R version of 2 movies, and then the R version gets substantially more viewers and more interest and better, critic reviews and things like that, then there's no reason to go back to the PG-13 version of it. The PG-13 version of it will already exist, and if people want that, they can have it. But they're gonna have to lean into their audience and or cut it off at the head and let it be done and done.
But it's like,
And
but it makes it hard. It makes it harder for the R-rated versions to ever have a chance to stand on their own 2 feet because if they know that the PG-13 movies are inferior, and because of the subtractions made from it for the hard R cut, it's going to make the storytelling wonky and make it a bad movie to some. Then they're not that like no one has any incentive other than Snyder fans to give the hard R a try because they're going to think it's just more of the same. It's just, oh, now we're going to see blood. Cool. Maybe
yeah,
the
well,
word fuck gets said.
And longer.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and that's the thing though. You have to think about the R-rated cuts of the movies. At least the R-rated cuts of the movies that we're going to get are going to be substantially longer. But if they move forward with this wonky trilogy they're doing, they're not going to retroactively add that stuff into the PG-13 versions of
Yeah, for
uh
sure. That's
3 and
that's
4.
way that's a lot of wasted ass money.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that the stuff that was cut, the rated R stuff that was cut, I think the story is going to remain the same. Overall, it's going to remain the same. I think that more character development and like you said, blood and and fucks and sex and all that stuff is absolutely going to be in the R-rated version, but I think the overall story is going to be the same so that you're not
But
losing anything.
but we'll see. But here's where I'm getting confused because in various articles that's been written, they talk about how the android Anthony Hopkins character
Yeah.
has such a larger role in the hard R version. And if it's such a significant thing that they cut it for the PG-13 version, then that's a level of context that you really don't need to be taking from your films.
But you're still
Short,
going to come out.
short, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
for
you get
sure.
to see it.
But the thing being is that it's almost like I guess it's going to keep recreating the Snyder Cut effect, where after the Snyder Cut, you're like, man, why the fuck was that shit cut out? Which I know that the different directors. I know there's other context to that movie, but still the effect I think is going to be the same. It's going to be us watching the hard R's and go, well, fuck, why did they bother with the PG-13? Why was that
Well,
like?
they can because it's
Which
Netflix.
people?
There's no theater play. Like they just put it on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You know
So
why did they
Netflix,
bother with doing the Tarantino one?
yeah,
Man, it was better.
yeah.
I
So
think
and
they'll
that's
release part 1 and 2 at the same time. The rated R.
yeah,
I
I
think
think
it
Yeah,
so.
might come out as like maybe they'll have it in episodes like they did. Tarantino was 4.
Yeah,
They just have like a whole like this is all of it.
yeah,
8 hours is meant to be one movie.
yeah.
yeah.
But I think that Netflix, if they're going to lean into making a trilogy in this way, where it's 2 films equate technically 1 film, and they're going to create 6 films to make a trilogy out of it, Netflix is not going to give him the budget to do essentially 12 versions of the movie. I
On
don't
the
see
other
that.
hand, at face value, you're absolutely right, Griffin. But I think one factor at play is that Netflix somehow saw a lot of the stuff that was the major complaint for Warner Brothers shutting down the Snyderverse. Is that despite the negativity that got from the general public, or some of the general public, wasn't everybody, but the people who did like the story were harping on the argument where it was like, let him finish that, and then let's rate the whole thing overall.
Yeah,
And I think that's where Netflix is going to do better by Zack Snyder than Warner Brothers. I think that despite the negative reviews, because clearly the kibosh hasn't been put on the whole project, because they're still moving along with the sequels, they're still doing all that stuff. And if that's the case, then they have obviously braced for the idea that the first installments or something, they're probably not going to get the best reviews. They're probably not going to be that much, going for them. But it's all going to build up, kind of like the idea with the whole, basically the same argument that they had for his interpretation of Superman, but now over the whole movies at large,
yeah. But they
where
haven't
it's,
greenlit. They haven't greenlit 3 and 4 yet.
I think they will. I
I mean,
genuinely think
After
they
the rated
will.
R shit comes out.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because there's far more things that have been released on Netflix that has caused an uproar and a decline in subscribership and all that. I mean, everything from The Witcher to how they did Cowboy Bebop to all that stuff. Like, there's so many things that have come to kick Netflix in the nuts, and they still are throwing stuff at it. Like, they've got so much more money than people can possibly imagine as a video company.
yeah.
Like, they're absolutely a juggernaut. They may not have the House of Mouse billions, but by God, they're up there.
Yeah. So we'll definitely have to peep that part 2 of Rebel Moon, and then whenever they release those R cuts, give those a go. But speaking of Tarantino, so Tarantino cancels his final film, The Movie Critic. So Tarantino has seemingly discussed retirement for as long as he's been a filmmaker. He's been insistent upon his 10th movie being his final picture, and what that film would be was an open question for a long time. Star Trek movie, Kill Bill Volume 3, Pulp Fiction 2. Well, Tarantino stated more than a year ago that his final film would be The Movie Critic, which at one point was loosely based around the infamous and influential film critic Pauline Kael. He had written a script, scrapped it, and rewrote it, and now he says he's done with the whole thing. But who knows? Tarantino canceled The Hateful Eight after its script was leaked, but ended up filming and completing it, and even making a longer multi-part version for Netflix. And The Hateful Eight remains his most underrated film. By now, everyone loves Jackie Brown. Plus, Tarantino has changed his mind so many times he probably doesn't know what he wants until he does it. So there's still hope for the movie critic. Um,
I would argue that Kill Bill is his most underrated film
yeah.
because there's very few people I come across that like Tarantino that have been like, yeah, Kill Bill's amazing. They're like, yeah, it's one of them. It's good. I
Yeah.
liked it, but
Right.
you know, but
Here's here's the thing though. What if, and nobody's really talked about this, but what if he was approached to release the movie critic through Netflix as like a couple of episodes, like as a series? I mean, that's
I
not
mean that
technically
would
his final
that
film.
yeah, that would be a clever get around to go, huh, you guys were fucking around with vernacular, like I
Yeah.
changed the word, like this isn't a movie.
I
Um,
mean,
yeah, I'd still give it a watch. Wasn't there a thing where Shane Gillis was supposed to be in it?
well, yeah, so
Or was
he
that
was
just horse shit?
he was rumored to be cast as the lead in it. After he wanted to cast somebody in it, but it didn't work out or whatever. So, but that's the thing though. Like if he likes Shane so much, does he feel like Shane, even though it's Tarantino flick, does he feel like Shane has the draw potential that like a DiCaprio, a Brad Pitt has? Because Brad Pitt's character from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was going to be coming back in this film to some degree. What if he was just like, look, Shane's getting his film career going. I can write a 4 hour cut of it, and let's just do the Hateful Eight treatment to it.
Well, I mean, Gillis, don't get me wrong, Tarantino could roll the dice and try to jumpstart Gillis's career in seriously being acting, if that's
Yeah.
what Gillis is trying to do. But I think Gillis is absolutely famous, for sure. But
Hmm.
he is nowhere near on the fame of the actors that Tarantino has under his belt.
Yeah.
So that's why I was always like, I think this is bullshit.
But it would make sense for him to cast someone like Shane Gillis in that role. Whenever you read
I
how
mean,
that
Well,
character
did
was
you
in real
see who he
life.
picked before? The
Who?
guy that was supposed to play?
Who?
It's the guy
no,
from
who
that
was it?
Richard Jewell movie that looks like Shane Gillis, just shorter.
Uh
Y'all remember him?
yeah.
Vaguely.
So, but yeah, I mean, and like with Tarantino doing all the things he's done, he might just decide to write a book out of it and release the book. He might decide to actually go back to filming it. He might decide to release a movie. Like who knows? Like or a series. Who knows what he's going to end up doing? But I think it's an interesting enough story, and I would like to see it told through Tarantino's perspective. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, for sure.
but I would love to see Shane in a Tarantino movie. Like, could you imagine?
Yeah, look in general. This is the guy from Richard Jewell. He was the guy in that one movie we
Yeah.
watched that answered the phone, lived with
I
his mom.
Tanya.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is there just asking? Is there any bleed over on my end right now?
No.
Can hear your voice.
Okay. Okay, just making sure.
But yeah, I'm ready for them trailers, them spicy, sweet trailers,
Dark Matter.
them habanero trailers.
All right.
Some Apple TV.
Playing for everybody?
Yeah.
No, not on my end.
I don't know playing now?
Yes.
Mhm. Dude's up to no good. See it in his eyes.
Is that Jennifer Connelly?
I think so.
That is Jennifer Connelly. She hadn't aged a day.
Mm-mm.
This will be a series, by the way. That's a chick from Terminator.
She's cute.
Joe Edgerton.
Edgelord. He looks like he got stung by a bee.
I'm forever baffled that he was actually the damn orc in Bright.
Mm.
What's in the box? Doesn't he look like he got stung by a bee?
Yeah.
I'm convinced Jennifer Connelly's found the fountain of youth. Like, that chick hasn't aged in 20 years.
We'll see.
It doesn't look bad.
Mm-mm.
It's more multiverse stuff, but it doesn't look bad.
I went to the next one and I stopped. Is it stopped for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing?
Hitman. Yeah.
Do you guys think the multiverse stick's going to run its course, or do you think we're just stuck with it now?
I think it will eventually.
He nut tapped him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Look at him. I returned some videotapes. He's even doing the.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to fall in love with her. I get it.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
Ah, caramba. Joe Exotic. He straight nut tapped that dude.
It looks good. Linklater.
Oh, was it?
Slacker. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure. We got some James McAvoy coming out.
Yeah, you know, we saw a teaser for this, and now we got a
Yeah.
full trailer.
It's the return of the Mac, dude. Once again.
McAvoy.
Yeah.
I think I'm buffering real quick. All right, now it's playing.
Hmm. Whoa. Aggressive.
Blumhouse, probably a stinker.
I don't know, man. You'd get
What
less
was the
for
last
murder.
Blumhouse movie you've seen, bro?
Well, the reason I say I don't know is
Halloween.
because it's got McAvoy in it, and I don't feel like he would
I mean, I'm right there
pick a
with
shitty
you. Like
script.
yeah, I mean, he can carry a movie for sure.
He said, I'm not a doctor.
Sorry.
Mhm.
What the fuck?
They're not going to let him leave.
What the fuck?
Are they aliens?
I cut his tongue out.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm down for psychotic McAvoy.
Intense. Hmm.
Are we gonna get a scene where he cuts out somebody's fucking tongue, dude?
Little kid.
Maybe.
Yeah, that'd be fucking horrible, man.
Atlas.
Not to be confused with Cloud.
Mm. Good.
I think this has J-Lo in it.
Man, that movie hasn't aged well, I don't think. What do you guys think?
What, Cloud Atlas?
Mm-hmm.
I'm podlocked on it, dude. I haven't watched
Mm-hmm.
it.
Episode 1000.
Yeah. We're going to do Cloud Atlas.
If we sit through all of Cloud Atlas, well, I mean, here's the thing: it ain't gonna be shit. We sat through Hard to Be a God.
Yeah, that's
I,
true.
I, I've I've unfortunately contributed some pretty rough films to the list. Is it a person or an AI?
Damn, she still got it.
Shang-Chi? What the fuck is going on? Stop it with your ass, J Lo.
Twerk.
Yeah.
Like, it's time for In Living Color, honey.
Mech suit.
I mean, dude, J Lo in a mech suit. Sign me the fuck up, dude. Oh, fucking, it's sentient.
I thought the voice could be better.
Yeah, it could be more.
Human.
More Paul
Yeah,
Bettany.
yeah. You read my mind, Griff.
I was thinking J.K.
Look,
Simmons, but I'll take Paul Bettany.
this movie is probably absolute garbage, but it's almost inspired by so many old ass mecha animes that like I would kind of like to check it out. I'm a sucker for mech suit shit. Dude, this is the Overwatch movie. We're getting Bastion's story.
Mm.
Bet.
That's probably gonna be fun, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not looking for substance with this, but it's probably good.
Well, J Lo's the only substance I need.
Swing.
Back suit or not.
I'm, come on now, Griffin.
Mm. The 8 show?
They're playing for everybody.
Yeah.
No, not on my end.
How about now?
No, let me hit.
Okay. I don't know what to do.
Hold on.
I don't know what to do with my hand.
Okay, now, see if you can unpause it.
Is it working?
Hold on, it's about to. Okay, I'm good. Are y'all thinking what I'm thinking?
What do you think of?
Can we get away from Squid Game?
Nope, there's going to be a sequel. What was that movie? Remember the platform?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
I think
making a sequel to that.
yeah, they finished it. I think they finished the sequel. So
Huh. Although I'll say this looks more interesting than Squid Game.
blasphemy.
I know. I really, I have no grounding in
know.
that statement. I never finished Squid Game.
You didn't finish it?
I didn't, brother.
Oh,
Mm.
I know. I'll pay for my sins.
what was that? What was that movie we watched with the 7 layers of hell?
Oh God,
That'll be your
Shingo.
Squid Games.
Do what, man?
That'll be your Squid Game. Is it
Oh
stopped
God.
for everyone?
Yeah, ads over.
Yeah, I'm getting the buffer circle, but it's not playing.
How about now?
Mm-mm. I'll probably catch up in a second, man,
I'll just let it go then.
because I'll just sync up with you.
Is
Chete.
that Channing Tatum?
This is Zoe Kravitz directed this.
Oh, okay. Christian Slater. Oh, what is it?
Chick from the other movie trailer, Hitman.
Dude, what a mouth. Planes to islands don't pan out, do they? I mean, I'm not trying to be politically relevant or anything.
It doesn't pan out for the owner.
God damn,
Put
sorry.
it
That
that way.
made me slam my cup.
Mm-mm. Haven't seen her in a while. That down and out, like slummed in the Beverly Hills chick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing
It's like
Alaska.
this gives me the Cure for Wellness vibes. But like a different angle, you know? Well, until that bullshit music kicked in.
You're being drugged.
Is this a P. Diddy movie? I'm not trying to be funny, like seriously. Like these weird parties and shit.
It looks like Knives Out.
Yeah, you fucking nailed it there, Griff.
Doesn't look bad.
The Watchers.
Yeah, no ad for me.
Remember we saw a teaser for this where they're in the box.
Yeah.
Something's watching them.
It's in the box.
A bunch of cucks. I mean,
All right, lovely bones. Weird shot.
Wig.
what a weird cover.
Mm-hmm.
Turn around.
Yeah,
Did you see
right.
that like weird alien language?
Yeah.
Not a day has changed.
Recalculating. I'm gonna get out of.
That, that lighting has Sleepy Hollow vibes.
Hmm.
What the fuck?
Too far away, bitch.
Dude, the floor is lava the movie. Oh, what the?
His daughter.
Hmm.
Chick from Loki. I'm always impressed when they shoot something like that mirrored
Isn't
and
that
you
the
can't
chick
see the
that?
camera.
Yeah.
Isn't that the woman that was the older Benny Jesuit?
Mm, I think so.
So
Some
I
white
wonder if
girl
it's
always shows up and fucks everybody's day up, man.
so I wonder if this is a movie about the Dark Watchers or something.
I got a head.
Dude, we
Y'all ever
looked
heard
it
Yeah.
about
up when we
that?
watched the teaser before.
Yeah, I think it is based off that.
Short
Oh,
story or
okay.
something.
No, it's actually like an urban myth.
Mm. I'm excited about this.
Oh, and now we have an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah.
It's got his daughter
Well,
in it.
yeah. What are the odds, bro?
Making a comeback.
She smells so pretty. What is that dance?
Mm. Mm.
Oh, he's
Mm-hmm. Damn.
It looks really good.
Mm-hmm. Not as good as
Mm.
this looks.
All right.
I was worried it was a flag.
I know,
here
right?
we
That's why I put two
go.
different versions.
All right. I'm ready for this.
Oh,
Hmm.
oh no, it's not playing on my end, guys.
Damn it.
You're already laughing.
We'll
Damn.
back it up. Try to leave the room and activity and then come back in. Is it paused?
It's loading. Hold on. Yeah, it's paused.
They're playing?
Yeah.
Hmm. Look, lady. The song choice is hilarious.
Yeah.
This is funny.
Ant-Man's skull.
Fuck yeah. Doctor Strange? How fucking bonkers is this movie gonna be?
Forrest bump. He said that's one thing Feige said was off the table. I haven't had.
I'm already on the. I'm seeing some gold getting piled up.
I've paused it. It's not paused.
Yeah.
No.
Leave and come back in. Now is it paused?
Yeah.
I think I might have to go to the theater and watch Deadpool.
Oh yeah, right. It's a lot of gold, man. All gold, everything.
It's the only thing in color too.
Yeah, it looks cool.
It's not playing on my end, no. I thought this was gonna be cool.
Is it playing now?
No. Let me try one more time. Hold
Is it
on. Okay.
working?
It's playing. Yeah, it's playing. They're piling up gold.
It's a big piece of gold.
I mean, dude, I wish I was this far in a payday game.
CC.
So you're gonna bust through that door with that motorcycle?
The gold is the
Oh
only
shit!
gold's the only thing in color.
That guy had a keyboard.
Yeah, with gold caps on it, dude.
I think we're gonna have to go to India to watch this one, guys.
Was wearing it.
Rajni. It's Ronnie or Ronnie.
Hmm.
Hmm. Dude is too cool.
Trying to laugh.
I'll turn anything into a movie.
Yeah. It says shoot commences soon. So is that like a short film for a concept?
That's
I'd greenlight it.
Yeah.
hilarious.
Okay, next week we got 2 options.
Hmm.
Check this out. I think you're gonna like them.
All right.
Of course, Snyder's Rebel Moon 2's out. We also have Monkey Man.
Oh, I've heard really good things about Monkey
Yeah.
Man, dude.
So you want to watch Monkey Man first?
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, if we watch the Snyder movie and it's not that great,
Yeah.
right? Monkey Man will be there to save us.
Okay.
But if Rebel Moon is amazing, how's
And Monkey
Monkey Man
Man's
gonna?
still there to. I mean, we'll still be good.
Yeah, yeah.
Monkey
That's kind of
Man's
what
like going to sit on the couch with the gang and talk about the movie.
I've heard really, really good things about Monkey Man though. So like,
I'm fine with whichever.
Same.
I mean, let's just go ahead and do Rebel Moon and get it taken care of.
Bet.
Sounds good.
Rebel Moon. Scar giver, right?
Yeah.
Giver of scars.
Yep.
Blade Singer? No, wrong movie.
Does she become a Skarsgård at the end?
That's a
Yes.
good question. Checks
Oh,
the
a
mail.
fun fact.
Oh,
Wait. Hold on. Don't throw the letter in yet. Fun fact. It's for Fallout. The chick that plays the main character
Hmm.
also does the voice for one of the characters in the League of Legends show for Netflix.
So she a nerd.
On that, I licked the envelope.
you raising the flag?
Always.